If you haven't read through the n8n documentation, you're probably wasting hours and you've missed out on very important features. The solution to this problem sounds simple. Read the documentation. But there are 3 common pitfalls that will hold you back from using the documentation efficiently. In this video, I'll show you how to avoid those pitfalls, as well as my 4-step process to reading documentation efficiently. After this video, you never have to watch another n8n tutorial again, at least if you don't want to. For this process, everything you need is the documentation and a note-taking app. Let's jump to the documentation and I will show you the 4-step process. When you first open the documentation, you notice there are a lot of menus. There's a lot of content. When it comes to n8n, you see there are these main sections in the headings, and there's also some subsections regarding all these sections. In step 1, you try to get an overview of all of this content. So step by step you go through using n8n, go through the tables of contents here, go to the integration, go through the tables of contents here. While you're going through these headlines, take notes of what feels important to you. Which parts seem like they have more meaning and more resonance with what you try to achieve than others. You have an overview over all the features n8n has to offer. Now it's time to understand the terminology, which brings us to step 2, going through the glossary. Under using n8n and the key concepts, there's the glossary. The glossary contains word definitions for terms that are used throughout the documentation but aren't in a standard dictionary or have a specific meaning. With the glossary, you do the same as with all the sections. If you haven't invested some time in researching what this field has to offer, these terms become super valuable. Here again, write down the most important learnings or discoveries that you want to come back to in the future. You understand the structure of the documentation, you understand the terms. Now it's time to actually go into detail with the chapters that feel like they are important for n8n and for you as the user. One part that was especially interesting to me was the flow logic and the data, so everything regarding the key concept. In the first step, you just take a look at this main section and try to read the summaries. They give you an overview of what this section has to offer, and also it shows you if you're still interested or not. Because here starts pitfall number 1. When you read documentation, you don't need to read everything. Documentation is written in a way where you can just read the things that are relevant for your use case. If your focus slips away and you feel like this isn't relevant at all, just skip it. Now back to the docs. Once you've been through these key pages, you probably know most of the things you will do with n8n. Still, there can be some hidden gems. And to discover them, we go through step 4, which is going through every page and skimming it. You skim through the page just to see if there's something that catches your eye, something you wouldn't otherwise have discovered. At this step, there's the same principle as before with step 3. If there's something that is interesting to you, read it. If it isn't interesting, just skip it. Great. You've been through the 4 stages and now it's time to go back to your notes, because this is where pitfall number 2 often happens. For that, I will quickly open up my initial notes for the documentation read. These are unfortunately in German, so to everybody not speaking German, I'm sorry, but this is my mother tongue. The interesting thing here is that I haven't noted down anything content related. I just described the structure of the documentation and the key concepts that were important to me. The reason for that is simple. I just want to build a map of what n8n has to offer in my mind. You can throw away all these notes after going through the documentation. They aren't necessary because they're just a support to help you think about how this software works and how you can use it to make the most out of it. You're done with the 4 stages. You can pat yourself on the shoulder, but this brings us to pitfall 3. Reading a documentation alone won't get you far if you never build something. In the past, I really struggled with separating my learning from my doing, but this is really important to get things done. Reading the documentation is just a form of learning or exploration. You try to get a glimpse of what you could be able to do with n8n. When you do or exploit your knowledge, you build your workflows and automations without having to go through the documentation. If you have a hard time finding this balance between exploitation and exploration, just make a hard cut between them. Pause this video right now and think about what you could do to split them. If you weren't able to come up with your own solution, here is what I personally do. I use my PTR framework, which stands for play, train and rain. In this framework, I split my time into play session and train sessions. Execution happens during play and learning during train. If you want to learn more about how you can use PTR in your own project, you can take a look at this video where I show how I use it for this YouTube channel. If you still want to explore n8n, now it's your turn. Open the n8n documentation, grab your notes app and go through it using the 4 steps I just showed you. When you're done, tell me in the comments what you discovered. I'd love to learn from you too. With that, keep building and lots of success with building your n8n workflows. I'm out. Bye.